Welcome to the Data Hall YouTube channel. We have started a series on different aspects of string variables or strings in R. So it is working with strings in R. In our previous video, we discussed about how do we create a string variable. In this video, we are going to look into how do we combine different strings. And in the next video, we are going to talk about how do we extract data from string variable. So as discussed in previous video, we are working with the tidyverse package. Let's load this tidyverse package. And this video, we are going to work with how do we concatenate string variables and how do we work with missing values when we have a string variable and there is this string glue and string flatten function that we are going to work with in this video. So let's start with the string concatenation. Let's say we have these two strings. We want hello and Adam to be combined. Currently, they are two different strings. So what we do is we use str_c, which stands for string concatenation. So when I press Control Enter, you can see that we have hello Adam printed over here. And that is what the string concatenation has done. It has combined these two strings, these two different strings. So let's say we have over here hi, and then we have two different this is a vector of two strings, that is Adam and Rose, and we want so we know that when we combine two vectors of different sizes, it would repeat the smaller vector. So what this would do is it would print hi with Adam and hi with Rose. So this is how it would look like. But normally we are working with data frames. So let's say we have this names data frame. We are creating a data frame over here. We have two columns in that data frame. First one is the first name. The second one is the last name. We have their names. We have three different people in them. Let's press Control Enter. We have this object called names. And what we want to do is we want to create a full name that would contain the first name and the last name. So what we do is we take the names object, mutate, and then create a new column called first name that would be equal to, then this column would contain the combined first name and last name, and we know that we can use string concatenation function to combine these two columns. So let's press Control Enter and let's look at the names object, and we can see that we have the full name, but we do know that there is no space between them. What we can simply do is have a space over here and separate them using commas. Now if we press Control Enter, recreate that column, we would have a comma over here. Now do remember that string concatenation is the exact same method that we have in base R, which is called paste or paste 0. So string concatenation is just a mask for paste 0. There are some changes that are there with string concatenation, and as we move forward, it would be evident that what are those changes. So let's do this paste 0. We have exactly the same command as over here, except I'm creating a new column called full name 2, and I'm using the paste 0 function. The rest of the command is exactly the same. So you can see that the output is exactly the same. So this string concatenation is exactly the same thing as we have paste 0 in base R. But let's look at how missing values are treated in both these functions. So we have over here the same data frame, but instead of having the third name, what I have is the third person have a missing last name. We do not know what his last name is, or there might not be any last name, but whatever the case is, we do not have that data. So let's create this object names_m that would contain the missing value. And now if we use the exact same command and concatenate using string concatenation and using the paste 0 function, what you would see is that with string concatenation, it do respect for the missing value, right? It do not print the missing value, the whole object if there is missing value. So with string concatenation, we see this result. But with with the paste 0 function, although we didn't had this space within them, but we can have the space just to make them comparable. So what you can see is that it had combined NA with the first name. Now that is not what we would have expected. So this is where string concatenation might be helpful. Or we might want to, let's just say, there is one way of dealing with this missing value in this specific case, and that is, let's say we have this function and we want to create a column greeting, and that would contain the hi and the last name. Let's print this, and if we look at this, we know that string concatenation would not print the whole object, even not the hi, when one of the object is missing that we are combining. One way of working with this is we can use this specific function. I'm not sure how to pronounce this, but what it does is it takes the first non-missing value. So we know that string concatenation, if there is any missing value, would print a missing value, right? So what we want is, instead of this NA, we just want a hi salutation. So let's just say we are sending an email, and if we know the last name, we would send it hi Curry or hi Paul. But if we do not know the last name, we would just send an email with a hi greeting, right? So what we are doing is, we know that this thing would present, if it presents, let's say if it gives us something non-missing value, then this function would get the value from this object. Otherwise, if it is a missing value, this object presents a missing value, then it would print hi. So what it would do is it would print the first non-missing value. Let me reopen that, and we can see, as we expected, we get hi when there is a missing last name. Next, let's move to this string glue function. Now, string glue does the same thing as string concatenation. It combines different objects or different strings. But the issue with string concatenation is we should have all the strings within these inverted commas, right? And it gets somewhat tricky to work with. So the way around is to use the string glue function. And now you can see we just have written the strings by itself. And what about the variable name or the object name or the column name? We would just enclose it in the curly brackets. And so that gets us rid from the inverted commas, right? It would print the exact same thing, but we now have an easy code to work with. Let's move to last function of this video, which is string flatten. Let's say we have this data frame where we have two different students from a BS program and two students from an MS Masters program. And what we want to do is we want to print a list of all the names that are there in the BS program and all the names that are there in the MS program. So what we do is we take the students data frame. Let me create this data frame. Let me show you the data frame. This is the data frame, how it looks like. We want to group the data, take the data frame, group it by program names, and now we want to summarize. So when we summarize, we cannot use the string glue function. We have to use the string flatten function. This is specifically designed for the summarize function. And what we do is we take the names and separate them with a comma and a space, right? So let me press Control Enter and let me show you the result. So we have summarized. So we have BS program, and these are the two students that are there. We have Mike, the name, and the Mike and Edwards are separated by a space and a comma. That happens also for the MS program. So I hope that was useful. Do subscribe to this channel, do hit the bell icon, and thanks for watching this video.